First Contact's Price. Ambassador Elena Martinez stood at the observation deck of the United Earth vessel Harmony, watching the approaching Meridian ship with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The alien vessel resembled a massive crystal lattice, refracting starlight in patterns that seemed to defy physics. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity had its answer. "They're hailing us again, Ambassador," Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported from her station. Same frequency as before. Martinez smoothed her diplomatic uniform, a gesture that had become habit during tense negotiations. "Accept the transmission, Lieutenant." The holographic display materialized before them, revealing High Executor Ven of the Meridian Collective. The alien's form was vaguely humanoid, but their skin appeared to be composed of living crystal, shifting colors playing beneath its surface. Their eyes, all four of them, studied Martinez with what she had learned to recognize as barely concealed disdain. "Ambassador Martinez," Ven's translated voice carried artificial warmth. "Have you had sufficient time to consider our generous offer?" Martinez felt her jaw tighten. The Meridian's generous offer amounted to humanity surrendering its autonomy in exchange for technological advancement under their guidance. They viewed Earth as they viewed all emerging civilizations, as potential servants to be uplifted and controlled. "High Executor," Martinez began, choosing her words carefully, "I've transmitted your proposal to Earth's United Council. While we appreciate the Meridian Collective's interest in Earth's development, we must respectfully decline your offer of guardianship." The crystalline patterns beneath Ven's skin darkened, a sign Martinez had learned indicated displeasure. "Ambassador, perhaps you misunderstand. The Collective has guided dozens of species to enlightenment. Your civilization's primitive reliance on biological computing, fossil fuels, and nuclear fission marks you as barely beyond industrial infancy. We offer salvation." Captain David Chen, who had been silently observing from his command chair, shifted slightly. Martinez knew he was worried. The Meridian vessel's weapons could reduce the Harmony to atoms in seconds, but humanity had faced extinction-level threats before. They had survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and their own near destruction of Earth's climate. They hadn't come this far to become someone else's pets. "With respect, High Executor," Martinez continued, "humanity prefers to chart its own course. We welcome peaceful relations, cultural exchange, and mutually beneficial trade agreements with the Collective. But we will not surrender our sovereignty." Ven's upper eyes narrowed. "You speak of sovereignty as if you understand its weight in the cosmos. Ambassador, your species still fights among itself. You've barely established colonies on your neighboring planets. The Collective has seeded life across galaxies. We have shaped the very fabric of space-time. Your refusal is not just foolish, it is an insult to the natural order." Martinez felt a chill run down her spine, but kept her voice steady. "The natural order, High Executor, is not always what it appears to be. Humanity's greatest strength lies not in our current technological achievement, but in our potential, our ability to adapt, to innovate, to overcome. We prefer to reach the stars on our own terms." The crystal patterns beneath Ven's skin began to pulse with an angry red glow. "Then you leave us no choice, Ambassador. The Collective cannot allow potentially destructive species to develop unchecked. If you will not accept guidance willingly, we will impose order by force. You have 24 Earth hours to reconsider. After that, we will begin the process of mandatory integration." The transmission cut off abruptly. Captain Chen immediately stood. "Ambassador, we need to warn Earth." Martinez nodded, her mind already racing through contingencies. "Send the alert through quantum channels, and Captain, initiate Protocol Pandora." Chen's eyes widened slightly. Protocol Pandora had been developed in secret, a last resort strategy in case first contact went catastrophically wrong. It was desperate, dangerous, and exactly the kind of thinking that made humans different from the Meridians. As Martinez watched the crystalline ship looming in the viewport, she couldn't help but smile grimly. The Meridians, for all their advanced technology, had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity by its current capabilities rather than its potential. They saw a primitive species that needed to be controlled. They were about to learn why that was a terrible miscalculation. "Send a message to all Earth defense stations," Martins ordered. Tell them to remember Thermopylae. The next 24 hours would determine humanity's future in the cosmos. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was surviving against impossible odds. The Meridians thought they were dealing with children playing with dangerous toys. They were about to meet humanity's true face. The species that had clawed its way up from caves to the stars, that had faced extinction a dozen times and emerged stronger, that had turned its own destructive tendencies into forces for creation and exploration. The Meridians had made their offer. Humanity's answer would shake the foundations of their perfect, crystalline empire. The silent response. General Maya Patel stood in the heart of Project Prometheus, Earth's most advanced research facility, buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains. Around her, thousands of holographic displays showed real-time data from across the solar system. Every screen told the same story. The Meridians were coming. "Show me the Titan defense grid," she ordered. The central display shifted to reveal Saturn's largest moon, now bristling with what appeared to be primitive defense platforms. To the Meridians' advanced sensors, they would look like desperate last-minute preparations. That was exactly the point. Dr. James Wong, the project's lead scientist, approached with a tablet displaying complex quantum calculations. "The quantum entanglement network is operational, General. Every ship, station, and defense platform in the solar system is now linked through channels the Meridians can't detect." And the crystalline analysis. Wang's eyes lit up with the peculiar excitement only a scientist confronting an unprecedented challenge could muster. That's the beautiful part. The Meridians' biocrystal technology isn't just their strength, it's their weakness. Their entire civilization is built on perfect crystalline structures. They think like their technology. Linear, predictable, absolute. Patel nodded, remembering Ambassador Martinez's final report before the Meridians cut off all communication. They had given Earth 3 months to prepare for mandatory integration. 3 months to either submit or face annihilation. They expected humanity to either surrender or attempt some futile last stand. Instead, humanity had gone silent. No pleas for mercy. No desperate diplomatic missions. No visible signs of panic. Just quiet, methodical preparation that looked like disorganized chaos to outside observers. "What's the status of the quantum disruptors?" Patil asked, moving to a display showing Earth's orbital defense network. "Ready for deployment. The Meridians won't be able to detect them until it's too late. Their crystalline computing systems are vulnerable to targeted quantum interference. We can't match their technological level, but we can give them the equivalent of a massive migraine." Patel allowed herself a small smile. The Meridians had made a fundamental error in their assessment of humanity. They saw a species divided by borders, languages, and ideologies. They didn't understand that humans were at their most dangerous when faced with an external threat. For the first time in history, every nation on Earth had united with a single purpose. Every research lab, every manufacturing facility, every military installation worked in perfect concert. The Meridians expected to find a fragmented resistance. Instead, they would face humanity's full potential unleashed. And Project Mirror. Wang's expression turned serious. "That's our real ace. We've reverse-engineered enough of their crystal technology to understand its principles. But instead of copying it, we've developed something they won't expect. A system that uses controlled chaos to generate unpredictable patterns. It's less efficient than their technology, but it's adaptable in ways their rigid systems can't match." On the main display, a simulation showed the newly developed quantum torpedoes in action. Unlike conventional weapons, these devices created localized fields of quantum uncertainty. To the Meridians' crystal-based systems, it would be like trying to calculate infinity, an endless loop of cascading errors that would shatter their perfect crystalline matrices. Time to deployment. All ships and stations will be equipped within 48 hours. We're ready, General. Patel studied the tactical display, where thousands of red dots represented the approaching Meridian fleet. Their numbers were overwhelming. Their technology was centuries ahead of humanity's. By any rational calculation, Earth stood no chance. But humans had never been particularly rational when it came to survival. Send word to all commands, Patel ordered. Operation Broken Mirror begins in 72 hours. Remember, we're not trying to match their strength. We're going to show them why crystalline perfection shatters in the face of controlled chaos. As the orders went out through the quantum network, Patel remembered an old quote from her military history studies. "The perfect is the enemy of the good." The Meridians had spent millennia perfecting their technology, creating systems of flawless efficiency. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength lay not in perfection, but in its beautiful, terrible imperfection, in its ability to embrace chaos, to adapt, to think in ways that defied rigid logic. The silent response was almost complete. Soon, the Meridians would learn why humanity's apparent primitive state wasn't a weakness, but a warning they should have heeded. Operation Checkmate. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the UES, defiant as the massive Meridian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their crystalline ships formed perfect geometric patterns, a display of overwhelming force meant to inspire awe and terror. 3,000 vessels against Earth's apparent scattered defense of barely 400 ships. All ships reporting ready, Admiral, her XO, Commander Marcus Rodriguez, reported. Quantum network is stable and undetected. Chen nodded, her expression calm despite the stakes. Send the signal. Operation Checkmate begins now. Across the solar system, humanity's trap began to unfold. The seemingly primitive defense platforms around Titan suddenly activated, but not as weapons. Instead, they began broadcasting quantum signals on frequencies that interfered with the Meridian's crystalline computing systems. Not enough to disable them, but enough to create microscopic imperfections in their perfect formations. The Meridian fleet's response was exactly what humanity had predicted. Their ships adjusted automatically, compensating for the interference by realigning their crystalline matrices. In doing so, they followed their programming perfectly and fell right into humanity's trap. They're moving into optimal formation, Rodriguez reported, beginning Phase 2. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Launch mirror protocols. Throughout the solar system, Earth's ships began moving in what appeared to be random, chaotic patterns. To the Meridian's tactical computers, it looked like panic, like primitive vessels trying desperately to find an escape route. But there was nothing random about it. The Meridian fleet split into precise attack formations, moving to intercept what they perceived as uncoordinated resistance. Their tactical computers calculated every possible escape route, every logical defensive position. But they weren't programmed to understand human irrationality, or to recognize when that irrationality was carefully orchestrated. Mirror protocols at full effect, Rodriguez announced. Enemy fleet is responding exactly as predicted. The quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously from Earth's ships, but they didn't target the Meridian vessels directly. Instead, they detonated in seemingly empty space, creating zones of quantum uncertainty that rippled through space-time itself. To the Meridian's crystalline computers, these zones were computational nightmares, areas where their perfect calculations began to break down. First signs of crystal matrix destabilization detected, the tactical officer reported. Their formations are starting to fragment. Chen watched as the mighty Meridian fleet began to lose its perfect coherence. Ships started moving erratically as their navigation systems encountered calculations they couldn't resolve. The quantum interference was forcing their crystal matrices to try to compute multiple contradictory solutions simultaneously. Launch Phase 3, Chen ordered. Earth's ships suddenly shifted from their apparent random movements into a complex, interwoven pattern that had been practiced for months. Each vessel moved through the quantum interference zones with precision, their hybrid computer systems, part digital, part biological, part quantum, able to navigate the chaos they had created. The Meridian fleet's response was devastating to themselves. As their ships tried to target the human vessels, their weapons systems encountered the same quantum uncertainty. Crystal matrices began to fracture as they attempted to resolve impossible calculations. Ships started firing at sensor ghosts, at quantum echoes, at reflections of their own fleet. Meridian fleet showing signs of widespread system failure. Rodriguez reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. Their entire command and control network is cascading into chaos. Chen activated the fleet-wide communication channel. All ships, execute final phase. Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to teach them why humanity's greatest strength isn't in our technology. It's in our ability to think beyond perfect solutions. The human fleet moved as one, their hybrid systems allowing them to navigate through the quantum interference zones they had created. They struck with precise, surgical attacks, targeting key systems on the Meridian vessels, not to destroy, but to disrupt, to create even more uncertainty in their crystalline matrices. Within hours, the mighty Meridian fleet had been reduced to a scattered collection of vessels, their perfect formations shattered, their advanced technology rendered nearly useless by the quantum chaos humanity had unleashed. Over half their ships had been forced to shut down their main systems to prevent complete crystal matrix collapse. We're receiving surrender signals from multiple Meridian command ships, Rodriguez announced. Chen nodded, feeling no triumph, only relief that their gamble had paid off. Send to all Meridian vessels. We accept your surrender. And we look forward to discussing a new relationship between our peoples, one based on mutual respect rather than assumed superiority. As she watched the once mighty Meridian fleet power down their weapons, Chen thought about how humanity's greatest victories had often come not from overwhelming force, but from thinking differently, from turning apparent weaknesses into strengths. The Meridians had brought perfection to a battle against chaos, and learned why evolution had made humanity comfortable with imperfection. The psychology of fear. High Executor Ven stood in the crystalline chamber of the Meridian flagship, watching the holographic display with all four eyes wide in disbelief. The perfect formations of the collective's fleet lay in ruins, scattered across the solar system like broken shards of crystal. More disturbing than the military defeat was the growing realization that they had fundamentally misunderstood their opponent. "Play it again," he commanded, his crystalline skin rippling with patterns of anxiety. The recording showed human ships moving in ways that defied tactical logic, creating zones of quantum chaos that shattered the very foundations of Meridian technology. But it wasn't just their strategy that haunted him. It was the psychological message behind it. Dr. Elena Martinez, now serving as Earth's chief negotiator, appeared on the main communication display. The humans' calm demeanor carried none of the fear or desperation the Meridians had expected to see in a primitive species facing extinction. "High Executor," Martinez began, "I trust you've had time to analyze our response to your attempted forced integration. We're ready to discuss terms, not of surrender, but of coexistence." Ven's secondary heart accelerated its beating. The humans hadn't just defeated their fleet. They had done so in a way that demonstrated a devastating understanding of Meridian psychology. They had turned the collective's greatest strength, its perfect, crystalline technology, into a weakness. "You knew," Ven said, his translated voice carrying undertones of revelation. "You understood our dependence on perfect order, on absolute calculation. You didn't just fight our ships, you fought our entire worldview." Martinez nodded. "We studied your society as carefully as you studied our technology. You saw our diversity as chaos, our disagreements as weakness, our adaptability as primitive. You never considered that these might be evolutionary advantages." The chamber's crystalline walls reflected Ven's growing distress in fractal patterns. Around him, other Meridian leaders watched in silence, their own skin patterns showing similar signs of psychological stress. Their entire civilization was built on the principle of perfect order, of crystal-clear logic and predictability. The humans had introduced something far more terrifying than military defeat. They had introduced doubt. Your species, Ven began, struggling to maintain composure, deliberately appeared more primitive than you are. The scattered defenses, the outdated technology, the apparent disorganization, it was all calculated. We showed you what you expected to see, Martinez confirmed. Your own prejudices about primitive species became your weakness. You were so convinced of your superiority that you never questioned why a species capable of quantum physics would appear so disorganized. The implication sent shockwaves through the Meridian leadership. They had encountered many species in their expansion across the galaxies, but none had ever challenged their fundamental assumptions about civilization itself. The humans hadn't just defeated their fleet, they had made the Meridians question everything they believed about progress and evolution. The quantum chaos weapons, another Meridian leader spoke up, their skin showing patterns of academic curiosity. They were designed not just to disrupt our technology, but to force us to experience uncertainty. Martinez's expression showed a hint of approval. Your civilization achieved incredible things through the pursuit of perfection. But you forgot that evolution thrives on imperfection, on adaptation, on the ability to function in chaos. Humanity never forgot that lesson. Ven moved closer to the display, his crystalline form reflecting the stars behind him. You could have destroyed our fleet completely. Instead, you chose to disable and demonstrate. Why? Because destruction wasn't our goal, Martinez replied. We wanted to show you that there are different paths to advancement. Perfect order isn't the only way to reach the stars. Sometimes, the ability to embrace chaos, to think irrationally, to challenge fundamental assumptions, these are equally valid paths to civilization. The chamber fell silent as the Meridians processed this concept. Their society had spent millennia perfecting their crystalline technology, creating systems of flawless logic and absolute order. Now they faced a species that had turned imperfection into strength, chaos into strategy, and psychological understanding into a weapon more powerful than any quantum torpedo. We wish to learn, Ven finally said, his skin patterns shifting to show sincerity. Not to control or guide, but to understand. Perhaps there is wisdom in imperfection that we have forgotten. Martinez smiled. That high executor is exactly why we chose to disable rather than destroy. The universe is vast enough for many paths to enlightenment. Shall we discuss how our civilizations might learn from each other? As the negotiation began, Ven realized that humanity had achieved something far more significant than a military victory. They had forced the Meridian Collective to confront its own rigid thinking, to question its assumptions about progress and civilization. In doing so, they had demonstrated why psychological adaptability might be the most advanced technology of all. Evolution's children. 10 years after the Battle of Sol, the Joint Human Meridian Research Station, Convergence, orbited a binary star system at the edge of known space. The station itself was a testament to the unprecedented collaboration between the two species, its design combining Meridian crystalline architecture with human-inspired organic curves and adaptable spaces. Dr. James Wong stood beside High Researcher Vensa, daughter of the former High Executor Ven, as they observed their latest experiment. In the chamber before them, human quantum computers worked in harmony with Meridian crystal matrices, achieving computational feats that neither species could have managed alone. Your father would be proud, Wong said, noting how Vensa's crystalline skin displayed patterns of satisfaction. He was among the first to truly understand what we could achieve together. The young Meridian's 4 eyes focused on the swirling data displays. He told me that day changed everything, not just for the collective, but for his understanding of evolution itself. We had spent millennia pursuing perfection, never realizing that perfection is static, and static things cannot evolve. The station's quantum communications array activated, displaying a holographic feed from dozens of joint exploration vessels across the galaxy. Each ship carried a mixed crew of humans and Meridians, combining the collective's advanced technology with humanity's innovative thinking and adaptability. Latest reports from the Sagittarius expedition announced Captain Elena Martinez Jr., daughter of the famous ambassador. Her ship, the Unity, had been the first joint vessel to explore beyond known space. We've encountered 3 new potentially sentient species, each one developing along their own unique path, just as we theorized. Wang smiled at the enthusiasm in the young captain's voice. The new generation of both species had grown up with the understanding that diversity, in thought, in development, in civilization itself, was not just acceptable but essential for the advancement of life in the cosmos. Vence's skin rippled with scholarly excitement as she studied the data. These findings support our new universal development theory. Every species, every civilization finds its own path through evolution. The mistake we made was thinking there was only one correct way to advance. The main chamber of Convergence Station housed what many considered the project's greatest achievement, the adaptive matrix. It was a hybrid system that combined meridian crystalline technology with human chaos theory and quantum computing. The result was something entirely new, a system that could achieve both perfect order and controlled chaos, rigid structure and fluid adaptation. "We're ready for the next phase," Wang announced, turning to the assembled team of human and meridian scientists. "Today we attempt to communicate with the quantum fabric of space-time itself." As the experiment began, Wang reflected on how far both species had come. The Meridians had learned to embrace imperfection as a source of strength, while humans had gained the ability to achieve levels of precision they once thought impossible. Together, they had discovered that true advancement came not from dominating other civilizations, but from learning from them. The adaptive matrix hummed to life, its crystalline structures pulsing with quantum energy. Within its network, perfect mathematical precision danced with controlled chaos, creating patterns that could never have existed if either species had continued along their separate paths. "Connection established," Vence announced, her skin glowing with patterns never before seen in her species, a sign of how the Meridians themselves were evolving, learning to express emotions they once considered primitive. Through the station's viewports, the binary stars cast their light across the assembled teams. Humans and Meridians worked side by side, their differences no longer a source of conflict, but a catalyst for innovation. They had become living proof that evolution favored not just the strongest or the most perfect, but those who could adapt, learn, and grow together. Captain Martinez's voice came through again. "Convergence Station, you need to see this. The quantum signals we're detecting. They're not random. There's a pattern, but it's unlike anything either of our species has encountered before." Wang and Vence shared a knowing look. They had discovered something that would challenge both species once again, forcing them to adapt and grow further. But this time, they would face it together, combining the Meridian search for perfection with humanity's embrace of chaos and change. "Send the signal," Wang commanded. "Let's show the universe what evolution's children can achieve when they learn to dance between order and chaos." As the signal pulsed outward through the quantum fabric of spacetime, it carried with it the greatest lesson both species had learned, that in the vast expanse of the cosmos, there was room for infinite paths to enlightenment. The future belonged not to those who insisted on their way being the only way, but to those who could learn, adapt, and grow together. Evolution had not finished with either species. In many ways, their journey was just beginning. But now they faced the future not as competitors or enemies, but as partners in the greatest adventure of all, the endless exploration of what was possible when different paths converged into something entirely new.